So, Emmanuel, as we were moving through C22 back in Izmir in November of 2022, the Lord was doing something there that was rather unique. And we saw people coming together from all parts of the world, all sectors of training, because the theme was formal and non-formal theological education beyond dialogue. And as we were meeting and gathering, I began to realize that this was not going to end with C22. And the Lord was doing something to call us even beyond that, but we weren't quite sure yet what it was. Typically, most of the ICETE consultations have had, workshops, plenary speakers, and a few other things, a few other elements, and those are all fine and good. But what I began to recognize was that people wanted something more than just that. And as we started to think about our next global event and really the direction of ICETE, not just the next global event, but where is ICETE headed beyond C22? We began to think about what would it look like for us to be more intentional. More intentional in having people come together and really get to know each other around areas of affinity, areas of a topic that they had common interest in. And, we know that there are people in different parts of the world that are already dealing with a number of different issues, right? And they're trying to address concerns in theological education, and they're trying to be most relevant in theological education for culture and societies and so on. But we didn't have a real good mechanism on how to bring them together globally. And we felt like there needed to be a place where globally we could have, can we say, prophetic voices coming together and being elevated for the sake of the work of the Lord and theological education for the sake of the future of the church, right? And so over time, we just started dreaming a little bit and started wondering what would it look like if ICETE was a place that had a platform mechanism, a way of bringing people together to have conversations.
Wow. So, I mean, you're thinking about talking about what is happening in different regions, because in different parts of the world, leaders are doing amazing things. I mean, they are pursuing different topics that are relevant to their region and to their context. They are addressing the issues there. But from what I hear you saying, there isn't really a sustained conversations with people over a period of time around a particular subject that is way beyond a particular context or a particular region.
Yes, that's correct. And because what I began to discover as well, not just at the consultations, but as I traveled to different parts of the world, I began to realize that I would be somewhere in Asia, and they were working on a topic, and they were addressing an issue that was very important to them. But guess what? I would go to Africa, or Latin America, or some Middle East, and all of a sudden I recognize that they're dealing with the same topics and same issues, but they don't talk to each other about those things.
So we needed to be able to actually create a global platform or something that will elevate and embody new voices within theological education. That can address perhaps current realities and maybe future challenges of the church.
That's correct.
For its mission within society.
Amen. That's true. And part of the impetus behind some of this is just thinking about theological education and its relevance to culture, church, and societies, and how perhaps these global conversations around voices that need to be elevated and embodied, how might that move theological education into the future to be more relevant and more useful for churches and societies? So
it appears to me that for that to happen, we will need to be able to have some voices, some new voices that can speak prophetically to the future of theological education. And that can energize in a theological education around specific issues,
Yes.
so that we can move toward that particular direction.
Amen. Yeah.
And that might take so many different things for it to happen, but I think it looks like that's the direction to go.
That's the direction to go. And it seems as though perhaps ICETE is positioned at this point globally to facilitate some of that. Not that we need to be the only ones doing it. You know, there could be others doing it, but perhaps the Lord has positioned us for this moment. Again, especially after what was happening at C22, looking at that and looking at where we are now. And this is not just about the next global event, right?
Yeah.
This is about I mean, I know you, and I've gotten to know you some more over the last year or so, and I think both of us, our heartbeat is for theological education.
That's true. Yeah.
And that it would thrive, that it would be exciting, that it would be interesting, that it would be growing and relevant, and that students would be eager to be in schools and other programs, both formal and non-formal. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And you know, ICETE is an incredible platform and a global hub, so to speak. We've called it a global hub, but I think it's looking more than a hub now.
It's growing to become more than a hub.
It's not where we just gather to have conversations.
That's exactly right.
It's something that is going to be sustained over a long period of time.
Yeah.
So it's not an occasional time when we come together. And if we pursue this idea, then we are talking about an opportunity to be able to actually develop continued relationship building among leaders in different parts of the world. You know, and to be able to create opportunities for dialogue that might, who knows, enhance cross-pollination of ideas.
Sure.
You know, facilitate co-creation of initiatives, you know, resources and different things. And who knows, maybe pursue some innovative practices that might inform the way theological education engage. And that could create quite a bit of a huge impact.
Global impact.
Exactly.
Global impact.
You know, and who knows, that the perspectives that are held regionally could actually be broadly embraced across the globe and within theological education for the church.
Amen.
You know?
Yeah, the other thing that I just remember too is just looking back, not just at C22, but looking back at all the other consultations over the years that ICETE has had. And, you know, we've had 18 now, with the 19th one coming up here soon. But the surveys afterwards, after the consultations, for the most part, people would say, I came, and that what was most valuable were the interactions and people that I got to meet, and the friendships I developed, and the people that my friends globally that I got to be with. And I started thinking, well, why don't we try to take that, what they value most, and not just have it once every few years, but what if we created these global communities that are regularly
communities of practice.
Communities of practice. That are regularly engaging with one another. And so they don't have to wait 3 or 4 years to come together. They are working together on topics on an ongoing basis.
So that those relationships are sustained. And they are not just sustained for the sake of it, but around specific issues and specific interests and passions that leaders already have.
That's exactly right.
Going forward. And you know, thinking about a global community of practice that can actually also facilitate, you know, a broader understanding on issues, and who knows, a more substantial impact within theological education that could impact the church.
Exactly,
the global
right.
church. And so these are quite interesting opportunities for us.
That's right.
Now, how to move into that?
How do we do this?
You know, that's a different.
That's a whole other thing. But the thought, the concept behind it is has some potential merit to it, right?
Yes, it does. There's something there.
Something there
to pursue. To pursue. And I hope, you know, as we talk about this and as we discuss this and as we reflect and pray over these things, that somehow God might guide us and direct us into the next steps and what the next steps should be and
Yeah.
what it will actually take to actually move into this space where we are beginning to see signs and
Yes.
steps and development in this.
And we trust that God has already been doing that, right?
Definitely.
We trust that He's already been guiding us and maneuvering us around.
We've got to believe that.
We got to believe that. We don't want it to be just us doing it. So
No.
yeah.
No.